Howdy YouTube, Xfce here with a little video for you. Decided to do another look at video, this time Peppermint OS. Peppermint OS just released their Bookworm based Respin here. It is based on Debian 12 and we're going to take a look at installing this thing and seeing what it has available. I've looked at Peppermint over the years. I remember when Peppermint came out, it was a very small LXDE-based desktop, and it's grown substantially with the passing of Mark Graves. They took a break. The project took a break because Mark was the heart of that project from inception through version 10. And version 11 picked up with the community taking charge, and now we're at release based on Debian 12. So let's take a look. We have it up and running in VirtualBox. We have VirtualBox set up with 4 gigs of RAM, 2 cores, EFI enabled. So we're going to take a look at installing this thing. The welcome screen comes up right away. We have some buttons here, suggested packages and web browsers, Peppermint Hub, their own little collection of utilities, Pep Docs, online documentation, and the build log of the current build. Now this is a 64-bit based Debian release. I believe they will also follow through with their 32-bit release as well as Devuan based releases, 32 and 64-bit eventually. Devuan is usually a bit behind Debian when it comes to releases. I don't know where in their release cadence Devuan is. Devuan is Debian without systemd. So, okay, over here we have links to the community. Be nice if hover over showed what these were. We can disable this from starting. We have an Xfce desktop, panel at the bottom, installer icon on the desktop. Let's see, the whisker menu looks like with hover enabled, and nice that they have list view because the icon view I find really tedious to use. So application accessories, Plank is in there. I don't know why. It's odd. I always think it's odd when people put Plank on an Xfce desktop. Plus this is supposed to be a minimal distribution. You decide what you want. Plank seems to be an odd inclusion. Same with Global Time, Orage Global Time. The Xfce desktop comes with a calendar and clock. You don't need to add duplication there, so that's interesting. GNOME Disks is here. That's a great utility for managing disks and also transferring ISOs to removable media, whether it be USB sticks or things of that nature. Graphics, we have Document Scanner and ImageMagick. I assume ImageMagick came in with as a dependency. It's an odd choice to put in a minimal distribution. Same with a document scanner. Why provide a document scanner, especially in a live environment? Seems a bit pointless. Internet, we have nothing except Kumo, which is a backend, I believe, to create application type of launchers to websites. So if you use Google Docs or Facebook or whatever, you can set up launchers that will launch directly to those websites. There's nothing else in Internet, no default browser. However, I have noticed if you launch Kumo, you can just create, say, a browser and save it, and then go ahead and run it. So you can get online even without a browser installed per se. No thanks. It's a very limited use browser, this WebKit-based web process, whatever it is called. Scroll bars don't appear. However, you can use the arrow keys if the page does go beyond the length of the screen. But the mouse wheel does not seem to work. Interesting. So you can do that, at least in the live environment. I also noticed you can create a URL link as well. One of the changes that Peppermint did, I believe, is they no longer made these web Kumo links available in the menu. So even though I saved that Google link, it doesn't appear anywhere, except when you launch Kumo. Now, if you create your own URL launcher, it will do the same thing. And that way you can get around the new limitation of no icons for launchers. You can just make your own. So let's see, what else do we have here? Multimedia. You know what? Let's get on with the installation. We'll go through software once it's installed. How's that sound? So let's launch the installer here. Did I double click on that fast enough? Yes, I did. It does use the Calamares installer, and it's a very bland theme, but that's, they're in the process of rebranding from old Peppermint branding styles to their own, becoming their own. So I don't really like the look of this, but it is what it is. Keyboard model, everything's working correctly. So we are booted in an EFI enabled system. We can erase disk, choose how much, if any, not how much, choose a swap here. Let's go with swap no hibernate. Gives us a very limited amount of swap partition. See what the file system choice is. F ... S or Xfce. What is this? Oh, F2FS and ext4. So only 3 choices. I assume in manual partitioning you can do what you want and format them however you want. Actually, now formatting will default to the default ext4. You'd have to format, say, in gparted. Is gparted available? Gparted, yes. So you can do it. It's just a roundabout way. So let's go with ext4. That's our only fast choice. Xfce is a great file system as well. Next, let's do a username here. Let's do a password. Okay, good. Login automatically is not checked by default. That would be disturbing, or just something to acknowledge and work around if you don't want. Next. Yeah, I would work on the style of their Calamares setup here. I find it very unpleasing, but that's just me. So we're going into our creating the partitions and formatting them, and eventually we'll get to transferring the squashfs file system. Let's go back to our menu, finish taking a look around there. Multimedia, we just have pulse audio volume control. Office. Yeah, we have the Arraj calendar and global time, which I'm not really sure why we need, but hey, their choices. Settings, AR and R is here. Xfce has their own display settings, which allow you to change resolution. AR and R might be a little more flexible, but duplicative. Let's see, what else do we have here? Synaptic is here. The installer icon again. Pep Hub. We'll take a look at Pep Hub in a minute. That's linked off of our welcome screen too. Under System, we have all the usual suspects. GDebI, gparted, and the rest are all very standard. Okay. So it's minimal for the most part. I find it interesting that there are things like a document scanner and Plank, but no web browser or no multimedia apps of any kind. Say you wanted to use this as a live system, it's not very usable out of the box or off the stick, as it were. Parole would be a nice default choice for a media player, at least to play basic media files. Listen to music, something like Xfce, maybe small. Audacious is very small. That's the one I choose. So it's going relatively quickly. Let's go ahead and minimize that. So let's take a look at some of these things here. Suggested. So we can install a PDF document viewer, Parole media player, firewall, Snap and Flatpak, and GNOME software. Time shift backup tool. Okay, there's a little bit of a problem. Time shift I thought was more of a system restore point type of tool. Not so much, it's not strictly a backup tool. That's a little misleading there. Firefox ESR is a browser. Conqueror, really? They provide Conqueror, but no Vivaldi. GNOME Web, Epiphany, lightweight, but kind of limited. Tor browser, okay, I can see people might want a privacy browser. Qt browser, VM-like, okay. Chromium and Falcon. Interesting. Why no Firefox latest or Firefox current? I know the ESR is right out of the repos, so that's an easy one to pick. I assume all of these are out of the repos. Okay. Yeah, the suggestions are listed in the official repositories. Okay, Pep Hub. Let's take a look at Pep Hub. Pep Hub is a customized collection of tools. Now, these are really, most of these are links to tools in the Xfce settings panel. Yeah. The Xfce settings panel, parts of it are duplicated. Not sure why. HBlock, okay, that's not in here. Xdaily is their custom update script that's running here as well. System info, okay, that's just the text output from like NeoFetch. It's kind of pointless. Pulse audio volume, you can get to that right here. Users and groups, that's here. Xfce settings, oh, that it would open this. Suggested, software tools, okay, AppImage, Synaptic, Snap Store, GNOME Web Store, okay. So you'd have to enable in have to close this to see that screen in suggested. Okay, so let's close that. PepDocs. We'll open up the documentation website here. Now you see what I mean? Oh wait, scrolling works. For some reason it wasn't working earlier. Okay, so we have documentation. That's nice. Good link. Good information. Build log. Let's see what the build log looks like. Okay, here is basically a change log. This doesn't want to scroll. Interesting. Arrow keys work. So you can look at the build log changes basically. So Calamares removed the installing packages during install. I like that. There's no need to put install packages within Calamares. I hate that. It's a waste of time for the most part, and it just elongates the install process needlessly, so you can do all that afterwards anyway. Okay. See what the links are here, since they don't really tell us. Okay, a link to the forums. A link to join Matrix, not interested. Now, if I were hip, I'd know what all these icons do mean. The code base. This we'll leave up for a moment. And there's also Mastodon. Is that what that is? Yeah, Mastodon, basically. Okay. Let's take a look at the code base here. Now, their new build infrastructure for the PeppermintOS ISOs is called Bubbles. I've looked around this site for numerous times already. ISO configs. We have all the general configuration settings here. And then under each one, or many of them, we'll have the different options for the different spins. Excuse me, one moment. Sorry about that. Throat was getting awfully dry. Okay, so for the various spins, Debian 32 and 64, DebArm, I didn't know they were doing DebArm, okay, and Devuan 32 and 64. Most current popular one, of course, is Debian 64. And here you can see all the settings they use for their Calamares setup. But you can also scroll through and see other customizations they make. So if you're interested, all the code is available. Now, this is far more intricate than anything I do. Excuse me. This is far more intricate than anything I do. My development, I can put in a simple tar file. It's about 85, 86 megabytes big, uncompressed tar file. And you have everything needed to build SNX OS in one file, one file. Extract it, you get a folder. Their build system is much more complicated, building multiple spins on different bases, different architectures. So, yeah, they need something more robust, obviously. And they wrote their Bubbles ISO build system, it looks like in Python. Yeah, so they obviously are doing this more for reproducibility, easily and quick reproducibility and build system, whereas mine is a much more hand-tailored approach for personal use. Now, you can take SNX OS and turn it into your own distro. I hate to say distro, Respin. Or you can do what Pep is doing here and building an entire build infrastructure that suits their needs. So that's impressive. To me, it is, at least. Let's see how our install is doing. So like my new installation process, removing Calamares takes up a ton of time. See, they didn't enable the debug mode of starting Calamares, so you don't get any real output here, telling you where in the process, what it's doing. Let's take a peek while this is running. Certainly don't need this. We covered everything there. Let's take a peek at the Calamares settings. That's always interests me. So let's look at modules. Bootloader module. Grub is the bootloader. Timeout. Okay. Grub settings. efiBootloderId. They stuck with Debian here. So that may or may not conflict, depending on how it's installed, may or may not conflict if you already have Debian on your disk and you're looking to set up a dual or multi-boot system. Would have been better, I think, if they renamed their bootloader ID to something unique to them. But I did notice in their branding, here they set up their bootloader entry name as Peppermint. I don't know which setting is going to take precedence. You know what? When we reboot into the installed system, we'll find out. So let's go back to modules here. Finished. Okay, so they will check the reboot restart button, tick. FS tab. Their defaults are defaults and no A time. Interesting that they have BTRFS defaults, yet no option for BTRFS. SSD extra mount points. They set discard for all file systems. Don't like that. Compression for BTRFS, which they don't even offer as an option. I wonder if that's just an oversight, whether they meant to offer BTRFS instead of the F2FS that is in the installer. Let's see, mount points. Okay, they don't specify any way to set up BTRFS subvolume mounts. It makes sense since there's no BTRFS option. They don't do the net install anymore, so these are not even being used. Packages. Okay, they remove all the live build stuff. They remove Calamares settings and Calamares, and then give more options if you want to add other items to be removed. Partition information. Okay, boot EFI is their system partition. They don't set up a size. I wonder what we're going to get for a size. That'll be another interesting thing to check out. ext4 obviously is the default file system. Here are our choices. I bet they meant this to be BTRFS. It makes no sense to put this here and include BTRFS options in the FS tab configuration. Shell process, they have to go in and remove their desktop installer icon manually. It's because they create their desktop installer icon manually. I just rename the bits in the Debian desktop launcher without renaming the actual file. So when Calamares is removed under Xnix OS, it automatically includes the installer launcher. See, unpaths, nothing useful in there. Nothing interesting, I mean. Okay, all the typical groups, and sudo is one of them. And the welcome required storage and memory. Okay, so that is the settings, the module configuration files. The overall settings, yeah, they're not doing, they commented out all of the net install stuff. So they're really just doing the standard installation, Calamares installation that comes with the Debian package. No issue there. It's not a judgment. That's just what they're doing. Okay, cool. See how the installer is doing. Ooh, we're getting close. We're done removing packages, and we're at the final stages. We'll be rebooting ever so soon now. So let's uncheck that and click Done. And let's log out. As I said, I do this in VirtualBox because I just find it's less problematic or less prone to causing systemd to spend a minute and a half shutting down a process with its stop job. Okay. Empty drive. Let's restart and see where we got. Okay. We have a custom grub boot screen here. So let's hop into Peppermint. I like the customized loading Plymouth animation here. That looks good. I don't have the energy or the interest in customizing the boot up Plymouth screens. I just stick with whatever Debian shipped. The way I use my computer is it stays on 24/7 for weeks, if not months at a time. Yeah, I reboot it occasionally if I run an update, but I don't spend a whole lot of time rebooting the system. So let's log in. As soon as we get to the desktop, we'll adjust our resolution here. Let's disable that. We don't need it. Continuing to start. Settings, display. Well, I do want to test a few things in it, so we might go back to the welcome screen. Okay, let's take a look first at the update. So it's asking for a password. So it's checking apt repositories for updates. Oh, that's very pretty. Look at that. So updates, the repositories are up to date, systems up to date, basically. It's doing a bunch of other things. Okay. Excuse me one moment. Glad the mic did not pick that up. Let's take a look at terminal here. Make it bigger and do an lsblk. Okay, so we have a 300 megabyte EFI system partition. That is rather small for my taste. We did get our swap. Okay. Not bad. You know what? Let's open back the welcome screen here. Where is it? Where is it? Maybe accessories? No. System. You know what? We don't need that. We have a link to the hub right here. Let's just do this. Suggested. Let's go get a browser. Why don't we? Heck, Chromium. Okay, so it's just running this in a terminal. While that's going, I wonder if it will put in a launcher. Not yet. Not that far into the... Oh, we're still unpacking. Okay. Yeah, I don't really want anything else in here. I just wanted a browser. See if we have our menu updated yet. Yes, we do. Chromium web browser. Cool. And Xdaily, that is the actual update software. Okay, I really don't need anything else here. Still don't have a whole lot in the system by default. But I guess that's part of the nature of Peppermint, the appeal, starting out with very little and building it up yourself. See, this is the reason why I like building my own, because I get to make all my choices and not have to adjust someone else's choices after the installation. Plus, I can make my own choices about how the installation happens that I couldn't with this system, anyone else's system, not just Peppermint. Okay, that's about it. I don't have a whole lot more to say. Favorites, welcome. There's a welcome. There's no link to their website, is there? Let's see if it opens in Cinnamon now. Chrome. No, it still opens in this little web browser. Okay. Sorry to ramble there. That's about it for Peppermint. If you like it, go check it out. If you like the Peppermint 11 and you want to see what 12 is like, here it is. I'll put the links to Peppermint's website and their SourceForge page, project page, in the video description here. So hope you enjoyed. Take care, stay safe. See you in another one, folks. Bye-bye.